Greetings fellow gorehounds and welcome back to another Blood Splattered vlog. So this week's movie is a movie that I've been super excited for ever since it was announced like 3 years ago. Because the idea on the surface sounded really fucking awesome. They were going to take a bunch of female horror directors and have them all come together for one horror compilation. Basically do an anthology film like VHS or Creepshow, but with all women directors. And to top it all off, they decided to call it XX as in XX chromosome because of course they did. But unfortunately, when it was first announced, it had a completely different lineup than the final movie ended up having. Originally, Mary Harron of American Psycho fame was involved, and Jennifer Lynch of Surveillance fame was involved. At one point, the Soska sisters of American Mary fame were involved. And these are all filmmakers that I absolutely look up to and adore and have loved like pretty much all their movies. Even some of the lesser ones. But unfortunately, over time, some of these directors ended up dropping out of the project for one reason or another, scheduling conflicts and all that. Some of them got pushed to just a producer position. And while Karyn Kusama, the director of Jennifer's Body, which I didn't like, and The Invitation, which I did like, did stay involved, the rest of the lineup was pretty much filled with a bunch of first-time directors and St. Vincent, the musical artist of all people. Which, I'm gonna be honest, I know next to nothing about St. Vincent, so don't expect me to know anything about her or her history. But I can say she did do my favorite segment in this whole movie. Which I guess now that we got the backstory out of the way, I should probably talk about how I felt about this movie. I actually really enjoyed XX, though I didn't think it fully lived up to the potential I was hoping for. Two of the segments are really solid, one of them is really good, one of them is pretty meh, and the wraparound is pretty cool visually, but doesn't really, like, tie everything together. That being said, I did fucking love the wraparound. It's all done in stop motion and has this 9 Inch Nails music video kind of feeling. Actually, 9 Inch Nails might not be the best comparison. What it really reminded me of was the 1988 Alice stop motion film. That weird stop-motion Czechoslovakian take on Alice in Wonderland is one hell of a fucking head trip if you haven't seen it yourself. I absolutely recommend that movie, and to a certain extent I also recommend this movie, but with a couple caveats. If you were as excited as I was to see a horror anthology with all female directors being done, and if any part of you thought like, oh shit, this is totally gonna change the game of horror cinema, it doesn't. It's good, but it's not groundbreaking. That's not to say it had to be groundbreaking, but I just think I kind of set my expectations up a little too high. Now granted, part of the reason why my expectations were so high was because of the filmmakers that were involved originally, and I probably shouldn't have expected that from a bunch of first-timers. But even with that being said, most of them did a really good job in this movie. The first segment, The Box, is a really solid adaptation of a Jack Ketchum story. It's not particularly scary, but you do get invested in the characters. Even if some of the acting is a little too low-key, you kind of wanted the characters to emote just a little bit more. That being said, the fact that they are low-key does mean the moment when one character explodes really stands out. And I mean that in a good way, because it was the moment in the segment that really got me like 100% invested in what was going on. That being said, if you're the type of person who really needs answers to your mysteries, that segment is definitely not for you, because there are no answers to anything at the end of it. That's all I'm gonna say about that for now until we get to the spoilers. The second segment, The Birthday Party, is actually my favorite segment in the whole movie, and it's the one that St. Vincent did. And what I really like about this segment more than any of the other ones is that this is the only segment that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got this great tongue-in-cheek humor to it that you kind of wish the whole movie had, and it more than any other segment felt like it could have totally been in a movie like Creepshow or something like that. Now the third segment, Don't Fall, is just a straight up monster story, but it's not a really good one unfortunately. I kind of hated all the characters. They're all that kind of like new age hiking hippie types who I just can't stand. And just when the segment starts to get really good, it ends abruptly. Though unfortunately it was probably for the best because the monster, which is center on screen for a lot of the movie, is not the best looking monster I've ever seen. It was a valiant effort by the effects crew, but yeah, it didn't work for me. The fourth and final segment is my second favorite of the movie, and this is the one that I feel like works the second best next to Birthday Party. And not surprising, this is the one directed by Karyn Kusama, the one with the most directorial experience out of everyone working on this movie. And I really like this segment because of the twists and turns it takes. At first you think you're watching something kind of like We Need to Talk About Kevin, but then it turns into something completely different by the end of it. Also, the lead actress of this segment gives the best performance of the whole movie. Like, Jesus Christ, my heart was wrenching every time she started crying. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, if you want to watch XX, you can watch it right now on Amazon Instant or other on-demand services, at least that's how I watched it. So if anything I've said so far in this video has convinced you need to see this movie, then you can watch it immediately after watching my video. Or even pause it before the spoilers and come back after you watch it to finish the spoilers. I certainly can't complain with that decision. And with that all said, my fellow gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers. Alrighty then, so like I said before, the first segment of this movie is The Box, based on a Jack Ketchum story. And this movie opens up with a mom and her 2 children on a subway ride home, and there's this unassuming, kinda creepy looking dude in this hat sitting next to them with this Christmas present in his lap. And the boy child pulls a 7 and is like, "What's in the box?" And the mom's all offended, like, "Hey son, leave him alone, like he's just trying to get on with his day." But the man's like, "No, it's okay, here, take a look." And so the boy looks in the box, we don't get to see what's in the box, no one gets to see what's in the box. But immediately we can see a change befall the boy's face. He goes from super happy-go-lucky boy to just emotionless in like no time flat. And then as the segment goes on, it becomes clear that the boy is no longer eating. Like they keep showing him at dinner and he keeps refusing to eat dinner. And the dad, who's obviously the guy who keeps making the dinner for them, keeps getting more and more frustrated with his son not eating. Because the boy needs to eat, otherwise he's gonna die. Is he sneaking food? Is he having snack food? What's he doing? And the mom's like, "Oh, it's probably okay. He's probably just sneaking food. Like, eventually we'll catch it. It'll be good." But after 3 days of him not eating, the dad insists on taking him to the doctor. And when they do, the doctor's like, "Yep, he hasn't been eating. What's been going on? Is there emotional abuse happening in the family? Is something going on? Was there a death in the family? Is the kid going through some sort of trauma?" And the family's like, "No, we love him. Like, he's had a very happy life. We have no idea what's going on. Is he being bullied at school? We got no idea." But then one day the boy talks to his sister and then his sister stops eating. And the dad starts freaking out like, "What the fuck is happening to my son?" So he goes to the son and is just like, "Hey, what did you tell your sister?" The boy whispers something into his ears and then the father immediately changes. And now everyone except the mom has completely stopped eating. And on top of that, she's having nightmares of them eating her for dinner. And at this point, I was sitting there going like, "Oh man, is this gonna become a cannibal story?" But no, what ends up happening is the son and the daughter end up dying of starvation and the father soon after. And then the mom basically is hitting the subway trying to find the box. And that's where the segment ends, with the mom going off with her family dead trying to find the guy with the box to figure out what was inside it and what happened. So we don't even get to know what's inside the box, which I know will definitely disappoint some viewers. It didn't bother me too much because I already assumed going in that we were never gonna know what's inside the box, but it would have been kind of cool to have an answer. But I was fully invested in the family and their plight, so it really didn't matter to me in the end. That being said, it's the one segment I like that I do think is kind of missing something. I'm not sure exactly what it's missing. It might be answers, it might be an extra act, I don't know. The second segment, on the other hand, in my opinion, is fucking perfect, and that's the birthday party. And this segment is really simple. It's basically about this mom who wakes up on her child's birthday party and wants to put on the best birthday party ever for her kid. And she knows she's always failed to do this because she suffers from severe anxiety and always has these freakouts and breakdowns and always ends up ruining her child's fun times, so she's determined not to do that this time. But unfortunately, she ends up waking up to find that her husband and her daughter's father is dead. A mixture of overdosing on alcohol and mixing up her pills with his. So basically, this entire short is basically a black comedy about this mom trying to hide this body from her kid so that her kid can have a happy birthday party. And there's actually a really great cameo in this that I don't want to spoil for all you, even though this is a spoiler section, because I feel like it would ruin some of the humor for it to be spoiled. But needless to say, the culmination of this segment is my favorite payoff of all the segments. Because basically, she ends up hiding her husband's body inside this giant panda suit. But the kids arrive way too soon, so she ends up having to set up the panda suit at the head of the table. So the kids are doing the happy birthday thing with the cake and all, but the dead body is sitting right there. And the person bringing out the cake accidentally knocks the body into the cake, and then when picking up the body, they end up accidentally pulling off the panda head, revealing to everyone that, oh shit, daddy is dead. And this is the moment, with the kids all screaming and crying, that the real title of the segment is revealed. The Birthday Party, or the memory Lucy suppressed from her 7th birthday that wasn't really her mom's fault, even though her therapist says is probably why she fears intimacy. I gotta say, when that full title hit the screen, I laughed my fucking ass off. This segment gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Now, the third one, Don't Fall, not so much. I was not a fan of this one, as you know from my pre-spoiler section. Basically, you have these 4 hippy-dippy hikers out in the desert trying to find a secluded place to camp. And the one thing I really liked about this segment is that the 4 hikers give each other a whole lot of shit, and I really appreciated that. But even still, they were definitely the type of people that always rub me the wrong way, in person or in movies. So you could almost say right off the bat, I was kind of destined to not like this segment. But anyway, they come across this old cave drawing of some sort of monster creature, and then they set up camp, and one of the characters ends up turning into the creature and ends up killing them. That's it. That's the whole segment. I really just summed it up, and it's also the shortest one. Didn't like the characters, thought the creature design was really lame, and let's move on to the next segment. The next segment is called Her Only Living Son, and like I said in my pre-spoiler section, I really like this segment. It's my second favorite. Basically, you have this mom who really loves her kid, but her kid is a problem child. And by problem child, I don't mean a quirky 90s kids movie, I mean he's showing signs of being fucking Dahmer. He's mutilating animals, he's abusing kids at school, and for whatever reason, the entire town seems to be dead set on not punishing him for it. And she doesn't want to punish him for it for the simple reason that she's kind of scared of him. So the beginning of this movie feels a whole lot like we need to talk about Kevin, but then as the movie goes on, it starts to change. Because you start to notice that, everyone seems like oddly interested in her son. The school refuses to punish him even though he pulled off a girl's fingernails in a fight, and they act like he's some sort of once-in-a-lifetime prodigy that they can't possibly, like, put down. And there's like a mailman that keeps checking in on the mom as if he's interested in the son. Now me as a savvy horror fan started to pick up on what was going on really quickly, and basically what we had going on is a Rosemary's Baby situation. That's right, her son is the son of the devil. But yeah, needless to say, the culmination of this final segment is fucking spectacular. And really fucking heart-wrenching. It's the one moment in the whole anthology where I started to feel tears coming on. Also, unlike the third segment, this segment has some really great body horror. So that's a good reason to check it out too. And I guess I've run out of things to say about this movie, so as per usual, my fellow gorehounds, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to ring the notification bell so that you're updated upon my videos immediately upon their upload. And as I always say, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.